Ladies and gentlemen, Magnus Carlsen is the best chess player on the planet. And we know that. But sometimes he has a funny way of reminding us in the most unexpected ways. You see, a couple of days ago on chess.com, Magnus won both the morning and the evening edition of the Title Tuesday chess tournament, which is one of the strongest blitz events that happens on chess.com on a weekly basis. But in that Title Tuesday, he defeated a 3,000 rated grandmaster in one of the most effortless displays of chess I have ever seen in my life. And he did it while playing something super disrespectful and being down a pawn since the third move of the game. And I have a bonus for you. He then proceeded to beat the same exact grandmaster in the evening in the same exact amount of time. I mean, you literally cannot script this stuff, and I really don't mean to pick on anybody, but I'm going to show you both of these games because they are sensational. Also, if you're watching this on November 9, 2023, a very, very big and very special announcement. We now have Gotham merch. The store launches tomorrow. You can click the link in the description to get more information. It's going to be just 2 or 3 days. We have the goatee, which I think this looks awesome. That looks cool. And we also have the G Crown logo. So you can get a G and a crown on it if you like that, or you can get the goatee. There's going to be more colors and combinations, and there's going to be shirts and hoodies. I mean, it's a 1-to-1 match. I think it looks really nice. I'm very excited for this merch. I've never had my own themed merch. We did one for the Pro Chess League team, the Gotham Knights, a little while ago. A lot of you supported that initiative. Anyway, link is in the description if you want to check out the merch. Only going to be out for like the next 2 or 3 days. So if you have a friend that wants merch, send it to them. Send them the link. Anyway, appreciate y'all very much. If you missed the merch drop, sorry. There's plenty of other stuff to spend money on. Here we go. This was awesome. What you're about to witness and the way Magnus makes it look. And by the way, Grigori Apadin, Magnus's opponent, is like a very, very, very good player. And this is blitz and all that stuff and all those caveats. Greg, he would crush me. But we just got to look at this game. Anyway, Grigori started with G3. Now, G3 is just trying to go here. There is really no rhyme or reason to this move. You can also begin with Knight F3. The drawback of beginning with G3 is that black could take the whole center. So Bishop G2 and then D5. And then if you play Knight F3, black will go here, right? So technically, if you want to play that, you should probably play Knight F3, but Magnus plays H5. Magnus on move 1 plays H5. This is a 3,000 rated grandmaster. This dude is like he's like 2680 FIDE, top 50 in the world. He's so good. And Magnus then plays H4. He just gives the pawn away. Now, if white takes like this, Magnus is a genius because these pawns are doubled and isolated and we're going to win them. No, Grigori takes with the knight. Now, you would think, oh, Magnus is going to sack his rook, right? No, he just completely gives away a pawn. Magnus just gives away a pawn for nothing. Like, you start to wonder, like, why does anybody play real chess at all? Just play like this, right? And he's not even that much worse, which is hilarious. And he just takes the center, right? And then he wants to take the entire center. And he lost an H pawn, which is not even that bad. I mean, you get an active rook. It might even be okay for black. Grigori plays D4, which according to Stockfish is the top computer choice because after pawn takes, you can very quickly get some development with your queen, your knight, your bishop, and then you can castle. And that's exactly what he does. And then Magnus plays Knight C6, which of course you have to do, right? The guy develops his queen, you have to develop your knight, and then attack the queen. Now, you can go here with white, and you're kind of playing a Scandinavian. It's like this, take, and then the queen comes out. But instead of that, Grigori plays Queen E3 check. So he's trying to get Magnus to put something in front of his king. And Magnus does that. And now Magnus wants to play D5, Knight F6, get this bishop out, get the queen out, castle. Keep in mind, Magnus is just down a full pawn. Like, he just played in a uber disrespectful way. Anyway, that goes Knight F5. He's justifying all his play thus far. He's just going forward, he's attacking the pawn, and he's doing this. But the thing is, when you play against Magnus, it's like, it's never quite so clear. Because you would think, well, I'm attacking his bishop, and then his pawn would check. And suddenly Magnus just plays d5. d5 is already a mini cold shower. d5 is like, I'm attacking your knight, grab my bishop, go ahead. Go ahead, spend 1, 2, 3, 4 moves with your knight just to not have it anymore. And by the way, you can't even do this. It looks like you can take this pawn with check, and yet somehow this knight is just trapped. It has no way to go now. If you play queen c3 to defend it, you only make things worse for yourself because you lose your queen, which would be very bad. So, knight takes g7 check is not possible. So he takes the bishop, and now Magnus does this. So Magnus is still down a full pawn, but he has some good development. He's going to finish up with the bishop and the queen and castle. He might play d4, might bring his knight. Like, somehow, see, if you play like this, you're an idiot. He's 32-60, he's playing like this. You're like, wow, Magnus played such an interesting gambit, right? And I mean, how does he do this, right? Like, why do his positions get to look so good? I feel like if I play like this against these GMs, I'm just gonna get smoked. White plays queen g5, which, by the way, is also highly recommended by the computer. Queen g5 trying to go here, and if black goes g6, for example, then he slides in even closer. And then this queen is very menacing. It's poking around. It's not a very pleasant position, right? Yeah, so Apollyon plays this, and Magnus just says, take my pawn. Dude just straight up says, take my pawn. Like, go ahead. I don't even want to defend it. I don't want to go here. Bishop f5. You want to take my pawn so bad? So do it. Go ahead, take my pawn. And then Magnus would have probably played rook h7. And then the queen would have gone to g5. And then Magnus would have went queen d7 and castled and just said, yeah, I'm down 2 pawns, but like, good luck beating me. Rook g8, bishop h3. Like, if he castles this way, I mean, white is just gonna lose. Like, that's the crazy thing. I mean, you took his pawn on the 3rd move of the game, and he's still gonna find a way to checkmate you. So, having said that, white probably has to castle queenside, right? Mentally, at this point, Apollyon has prepared, well, I gotta castle queenside. Also, Apollyon was like, I gotta go to GothamMerge.com. And then I gotta sign up, right? I gotta sign up for the merge drop because Apollyon, yeah. Anyway, knight a3, and the advantage is gone. For some reason, the advantage is knight to a3. And why did he not go knight to c3? Didn't want to get hit by d4. Also, he didn't want to get hit by this move, at which point he can't even protect c2. It's completely ridiculous how good black's position is in 9 moves. It's been 9 moves. Dude played h5, h4 the first 2 moves, and he's winning almost on move 9. Ridiculous. Knight a3, queen d7, castles, castles. Okay. We have now played 11 moves each. Watch how fast and how brutal the rest of the game is. Magnus plays here. He is still refusing to protect this pawn. Why? Because if the queen comes in, queen's got no way out. Queen can't go out. Queen can only take the pawn. This move traps the queen if you play queen e6. And that is over. The queen is stuck. The only thing that white can do here is try to attack f6, at which point you just seal that off, and then you're going to win the bishop. So that is crazy. He just plays f6, can't take the pawn. The pawn that you spent time going to get. You see everything that white does? Knight f5, oh, I'm so sure. Nope, can't take my pawn. All right, I'm going to go get the pawn. Magnus like, yeah, take the pawn. When you play Magnus, when you play Hikaru, you try to do things, right? Like in a fight. Try to do things and play to your strengths, and they just look at you like, okay, do your worst. And you're like, wait, no, seriously? It's like, if you tried to rob a store for legal reasons, I do not condone this, but you try to rob a store, you're like, put your hands up, and give me a, you see that thing in the movies or something, and they're just like, okay, shoot. And you're like, wait, no, it's not even a real gun. I'm not even, it's a water gun. It's a Nerf gun. I just want the money. What? I was not, that's an unexpected plot. These guys are like, yeah, okay, go ahead. I mean, you wanted so take it. Let's go, take it. Stupid, take the pawn. And you're like, hey, Magnus, it's not that serious, bro. Relax. I mean, we chilling, right? So apparently he was supposed to go queen f4. This would have been slightly better for Apollyon. And if you chase, the queen gets to a4. At which point it's avoiding danger more than anything else. I mean, you are not really creating any threats. But instead of that, Apollyon makes another queen move. So he's played many queen moves already, and now the queen gets hit with d4, which also opens the door for the black queen to go to d5, which it very quickly secures by playing bishop to e6. Magnus has spent like no time. Keep in mind, Magnus is probably playing this game while like huge DJ music is playing behind him, and chat members are asking him questions about God knows what. Queen a4, queen d5. And it takes 15 moves. Magnus wins. Game is over. 15 moves. GG. Over. Because you cannot stop the rook, and if you protect the rook, boom. The best move here, according to the computer, was to play queen back to b3. Exactly where it just was. Lose the rook, take with check, and try to play this position. And yeah, Biden after queen d5, just 15 moves. Dude started the game with h5, h4, down a full pawn, played just a bunch of completely normal developing moves. This was one of his nicer moves, where he called the bluff on his opponent's play. Just gambit, could his opponent have taken? Absolutely, but he's scared. It's a hesitancy. In a fight, you try to throw a jab, the guy wallops you with a hook or a leg kick, you're like, all right, you know what, I'm good. I'm not gonna throw anything ever again. I will never punch another person. B3, and just top computer move. Top computer move. By the way, at this point, Magnus spends 1 minute and 10 seconds. I think it's because maybe he was calculating something, or he went to the bathroom. Like, he did not actually spend 1 minute on this move. Bishop f5. White plays h4, trying to play bishop h3 and trade off, and he just plays knight d5. You know why he plays knight d5? Very simple. Because after takes, it's mate. Do you see the mate? This is not mate, by the way. The knight blocks, and the queen cannot take the queen. You really don't want to do this, actually, because then you force yourself into a queen trade. Yeah, so instead of all of that, knight c3. Queen is attacked. Queen a1, knight b1 is mate now. And if you take, very simple, dc. White resigns. 21 moves. Magnus wins. This is mate. Can't stop it. Play knight c4. I play takes. Takes, queen b1. This dude is 3,000. Apadin is one of the best grandmasters in America right now. Formerly from Russia. Young college age, 20-year-old guy. I mean, like, what? I don't even know I don't know what mistake he made. Like, Magnus beats people, you sit there, you go, what was his mistake? I mean, was it this? No, computer didn't hate that move. Like, what did he do? He just, what, like, where did he go wrong? Queen B, yeah, I guess queen e3 was inaccurate. And then around here, he probably should have blocked the attack. Once he lost control, I mean, my guy, what? How did he even, anyway, I don't even know whatever. Yeah, but Magnus got him again. Magnus got Apadin again in the evening, and then he went, you know, I don't even feel bad. I don't feel bad for Apadin, because this is how I feel when I play 3000s. These dudes play h4 against me. I'm like, what? I'm gonna lose. I mean, there's nothing it's an embarrassment. I'm gonna get embarrassed no matter what. This dude, Magnus, beat this man with h5. Oh my God. He just plays h4. Like, how are you gonna, can you imagine being Apadin? You're like, oh, nice, I gotta focus. I'm playing Magnus again. You know, earlier it was bad. This is later in the day. This is like 6 hours later. They both probably went and did things that chess players do. I don't know. Sit and stare at a wall for like 6 hours. I don't know what grandmasters do. And Apadin plays b6. I love how Apadin spends 5 seconds on move 1 just being like, do I really got to deal with this garbage? And now Magnus plays e4. He just plays e4 like a normal game. He plays e4. Like, can you imagine? e4, b6, knight c3, bishop b7, it just h. I mean, good lord. Oh my God. And now he just acts like as if he didn't just play h4 on the first move of the game. I mean, anyway, knight f6. And that's apparently a big mistake. The clock is not updating because, I don't know, chess.com does that sometimes. Yeah, in case I spoiled the result, by the way. Knight f6, now e5, and normally, this is trapped, by the way. Like, actually, h4 is a completely brilliant move because, for example, there are lines where, let's say, you know, you play like e6, bishop d3, knight f6, and you cannot play e5 here. You cannot play e5 because bishop takes. Well, it turns out Magnus Carlsen is a genius for playing h4 because now you can play e5 and bishop takes g2 is not a trap. Knight e4 and oh my God, it's happening again. Chess.com, y'all got a little bug here where the clock stays the same and the clock's not right. e5 takes queen g4. I mean, Apadin lost this game in 6 moves. 6 moves. He straight up just lost in 6 moves. He was supposed to go knight d5. But when you disrupt the communication of the black pieces, the queen is going to g4 to attack this pawn and then defend this. And when you go here, it's actually even worse because normally you think white has to play defense, but he's not going to. He's going to take what you didn't think he was going to do and then play queen g4, which is a fork of a bishop and a very important pawn. A pawn near the king. The dark squares are looking really tasty. Apadin plays this. Magnus plays queen g7, and dude straight up just won a game in like 8 moves. I mean, this is over. It's not over here, but it's over from the human standpoint of things. Apadin plays rook to f8, and now white just needs to play one of these 2 bishop moves, which he does. And the bishop either has to go back, or the queen needs to slide out of the way. The bishop does, in fact, go back, but we don't need to rush exchanges here, so we just play rook c1. Hitting the bishop. Apadin plays bishop takes g5, and Magnus does not take on g5. He doesn't take on g5 because this bishop will always be able to protect the pawns. Is that same clock glitch gonna happen? No, it's back. So rook takes c2, bishop to e7, and Magnus just says, you know what, I could develop, I could go for an attack, or I can just take this pawn. And I got really bad news for you. He's just gonna bring the queen out or like move his knight and then just play h5, h6, h7, and h8. And there is absolutely nothing you can do. Black plays knight c6. Magnus develops his knight. And then, in case that wasn't good enough, he castles. He castles despite playing h4 on the first move. Black is now 2 moves away from castling himself. So he plays queen b7. And here, yes, white can play a3, rook e1. White can bring the queen back and try to push the h-pawn. But the best way to attack... Well, let me ask you. Can you guess Magnus Carlsen's move in this position? Can you think like the greatest chess player of all time? White is winning. White is a pawn up. But what's the best move? Are you paying attention? Or are you just like... Were you on the Gotham Merch website? It's nothing much. You just got to sign up. It's coming out tomorrow. Black wants to castle. Right? And so when you're castled in chess and your pieces are all out and ready to go, you got to think, how can I disrupt what my opponent wants? The opponent wants to castle desperately because the king is stranded in the center. And the way you prevent that is you go straight down the middle. D5, use your pawns to attack, D6, DE, all of this is opening up. If black takes, you bring in the knight with pressure on the bishop and the pawn and f6. And if black castles at this point, you sack the rook to get the bishop. So once all your pieces get in together, tactics, puzzle-solving things, they all start arising out of nowhere. So d5 is what was played in this position. Apadin played this, and Magnus chopped it down. That is a nice move. He didn't have to do that. He could have played his rook. Magnus takes on e6, sacrificing the rook completely. Why? Because in chess, the 2 most important things are material and the safety of the king. So when the rook gets taken, if the rook doesn't get taken, then a very calm rook d2. And now the king's not going, oh, now the king ain't going anywhere. King's staying right in the middle, and we're going to get the boys in there. Queen e4, queen c4, queen c6, knight g5. Like, everybody's going to come in. We're not going to hang our queen. I'm just saying that's the general idea. And if you play the Zwischenzug, before you take back the knight with the queen, you play pawn. That is so important. And now the king has to move. The king doesn't have to take the pawn, but the king has to move. And if the king has to move, the king's not going to be able to castle. The king does take the pawn. Magnus takes. And now black would love to play rook d8 and get the king to safety. Rook d8 and get the king to safety. And you know what we're going to do to stop it? Queen f5. And then the king's got to go right there, and he can't move anymore. And then we're going to break down his house. We're going to break each window. Each window. Knight e5, rook e1, get on f7, get on this diagonal, and we are going to win. We're going to get knight e4, knight b5, all of this different stuff. So instead of that, Apadin plays queen c6, rook d1 check, and Magnus says, you know what? Knight d4. Queen f5 is coming. Knight b5 is coming. Knight d5 is coming. Everybody's coming. Queen g6. Knight f5. Boom. Knight e7 is a huge threat. You move out of the way. Here comes queen e4. Sniping the rook in the corner. Looks like black is completely defending himself. It's an illusion. Knight to b5. Knight to b5 threatens two things. Number one, it threatens checkmate in one. That is mate in one because white's two snipers take away the king's escape squares. The bishop is glued with nowhere to go. The rook is just standing there like a lamp, not doing anything. And if black defends against mate, well, knight to d6 check, and black resigned because after pawn takes, knight takes, queen b7 is checkmate, unless you sack your queen, at which point Magnus would be able to, in fact, convert this position. That is how Magnus Carlsen defeated. I'm very sorry to Grigori Opaitin for having to feature him in two posterizing pieces of content. You know, like in basketball highlights when they dunk on another person. The person who gets dunked on gets credit for even playing defense, by the way. All right? It's not just as simple as it is. Magnus played h5, h4, and then he played h4, and he won this game in, I'm not exaggerating, 8 moves. Only he can make it look this easy. The first game he had to work. I mean, he did not get a winning position, but how does he make it look so easy? Everything his opponent wants to do, he allows to happen, and then he's better. And how quickly he just, whoop, queen d5, boom, done. In there, get the bishop, get the knight, absolutely mummify the king, game over. 2 times in a total of like 40 moves, but in reality, he was winning these games within 15 moves, 8 moves in the second game. Just crazy. I don't know what to say. It's just really impressive. It's really, really impressive. It's so fun to watch. I love watching it. I mean, there must be like a primal fear that gets struck into people when they get paired against Magnus. It's super cool to see. Listen, that's all I have for you today. Magnus got like 20 out of 22 points. He won the title Tuesdays, yada, 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 typical stuff, you know. Yeah, before this video ends and Next Up plays on YouTube, or, you know, you click on something in the sidebar, I'm really excited for this. I have never had Gotham-themed merch. We did some stuff for the Pro Chess League, and I think black and pink looks so cool. I would even wear this outside, and then people would go, why do you have a hoodie of yourself? And I'd be like, because I'm narcissistic. That's why. Super cool. Super cool. Yeah, that's all. IRL content coming soon. Gonna see fans in Florida. Gonna see them in New Jersey. Gonna see them in London. Gonna see them in Toronto doing some fan book stuff. That's gonna be a lot of fun. And if this video gets recommended to someone 2 years in the future and all of this already happened, well then hi, thanks for watching. You are appreciated all the same, and hopefully there has not been an apocalypse and the world has not ended. And if it has ended, then hello, you are probably one of the last remaining people on the planet. That's all. What am I talking? I'm gonna go nap. Get out of here.